what what do you gather in terms of like a recap of like what happened and these two figures, like what are they really showing us?
So what they tried to do was prevent the initiation of a character like Charlie Kirk into this long lasting legacy of figures born on this particular date of October the 14th, becoming quite successful at whatever it is that they do. And so by trying to tap into, basically initiate, quote unquote, white people in America into the, I guess, whatever feeling that they thought black people had in 2020 with George Floyd, that they would create, they would trigger this energy within the quote unquote white Americans to go out and protest, like they think they did in 2020 with black people. But again, like I mentioned a lot of times, maybe not here, that protest and stuff was all astroturfed. It wasn't organic. And because they don't have the money, because their system is failing, this event that again they may or may not have planned but were fully in position to take advantage of, they, like you said, don't have the capacity to direct the energy where it should go, because they don't have any power anymore. They lost control of the calendar, of the cycle, and of the people. And so when you look at this overarching figure, which is Eisenhower, who, for all intents and purposes, basically is like one of the leading faces of anti-communism, which I forgot to mention. He's anti-communism. And so you have this guy who rooted out communism in the federal government. They can't allow anybody to come in and fill those shoes. And because Charlie was, in all intents and purposes, had the perfect chart to engage in this kind of behavior, they tried to silence him via the throat chakra, which is what they typically do when they want to silence a generation. So they tried to turn him into a martyr for the wrong reasons, just like they turned George Floyd into a martyr for the wrong reasons. But because, they're actually not in control, they don't have control of any of these rituals. They're literally like, totally out of alignment with the energy. Instead of it being the third day where they could come in and collect the wealth, it ended up being the second day where they basically are now tied to the land, with a blood sacrifice that has to be paid for. So even though they never been caught for their other crimes, because they have their hands, because they want to be God, is all over this blood sacrifice that is tied to the land. The land is going to demand them pay the price for the blood sacrifice. And so as that price is being doled out on these people who believe that they're God, black, white, orange, blue, and green, you will see the masses have the capability and the capacity to use this tragedy to awaken, just like it says in Daniel, some to eternal glory and some to eternal damnation. And they call it the rapture, but again, most of these people, they don't know what they're talking about. These Bible Protestants, they just don't know what they're talking about. And so they've interpreted this whole scenario wrong. They don't know what prophecy goes with the story, because they don't really understand the prophecies. But when you once you learn how to read the energy, you don't have to understand the prophecies. You just read the energy and find the prophecy that matches the energy, and that's how you know what's going on. So that's what we have done in this session. We have found a prophecy that matches the energy, and now we have a better understanding of what's going on. So the Bible is a bibliography. Again, in a bibliography, it tells you, what the author is, maybe one or two lines about the book or whatever, and then you got to go somewhere else to get the deep details. And that's what we did with the Charlie Kirk chart and the George Floyd chart and also the Eisenhower chart. We took these very distinct, things of information figured out what the energy was telling us, and found the prophecy to go along with it. And so now we understand what is the true nature, spiritual and esoteric nature of the event.